guys have up on the floor this week is about extending the statute of limitations on pandemic unemployment benefit fraud. George Santos has been indicted. One of his indictments is for unemployment benefit fraud. Does that undermine the message you're trying to send with that bill? And then also, given all those indictments of Mr. Santos, a question for you and Chairwoman Stefanik is, should he resign?
So first of all, in regard to George Santos, he was already removed from all of his committees. There is a legal process. The charges just came out. We just saw some of them this morning. And so in America, there's a presumption of innocence, but they're serious charges. He's going to have to go through the legal process. But we're going to continue to work to root out fraud. And there's lots of it. And we're talking about tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud in many federal programs. We've pointed this out. I mean, they're not even checking Social Security numbers. So you've got reports of people even in foreign countries getting taxpayer money for things that should be only available to Americans who are coming on hard times. Not to go to drug cartels or to people that just want to bilk the system. And so I hope Democrats will support us in rooting out fraud. They haven't shown an interest in it so far, but we're going to bring legislation to continue.
Does it undermine the message that you're trying to send with this bill, though, with this indictment of one of your...
Obviously, he's going to have to face the charges that he has. Again, he's got a presumption of innocence, but that court process is going to play itself out. But he's already been removed from all of his committees. And I don't know if anybody else has...
Sure, I just want to add to that. As I've said from the very beginning on questions on this subject, this legal process is going to play itself out. Unfortunately, this is not the first time a member of Congress from either party has been indicted. There are a set of rules, and as the majority leader stated, he voluntarily had stepped down from his committees. We are committed to making sure that we root out any fraud when it comes to unemployment pandemic assistance, and we're working to have support from our conference, and it's good policy, and we urge the Democrats to vote in support of it.
Yes, in the back.
Thank you so much. The NDAA markups were supposed to start this week. Republicans on the committee postponed them indefinitely. Is this related to the debt ceiling debate? And if not, do you know what's going on there, why the delay was enacted?
Yeah, right now as the debt ceiling negotiations are going on, if you even want to call them negotiations, again, we've passed a bill to address the debt ceiling. One of the things that we included was reestablishing what the amount of spending should be in Washington. We bring it back to what it was pre-pandemic. We, again, have laid out what that should be. But as we're in these final talks, I mean, there might only be 2 weeks left before we actually hit the date. So I'm hopeful that as the Speaker meets with the President and the other congressional leaders on Friday, that they can get some real specifics that get us closer to an agreement. And so for now, we're going to wait and see how that process plays out before starting the NDAA. But we've already been doing work on what those policies would look like on a National Defense Authorization Act.
Can I say as a task member?
Oh wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I just want to say, since I am on the House Armed Services Committee, we've been working diligently at the subcommittee level and full committee level, and just as the majority leader said, we will be prepared to pass a robust NDAA. So when you talk about indefinitely, the NDAA is the one bill that every single year we've been able to deliver and pass, certainly since I've been in Congress, but for decades.
Speaker McCarthy scheduled an event later today. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib was scheduled in the Congressional Visitor Center to hold an event on Nakba, which is the day that Palestinians remarked the founding of Israel as a catastrophe. McCarthy's event is blocking that. It's a bipartisan briefing on the U.S.-Israel relationship. Any comments on that move by Speaker McCarthy to occupy that space during that time? And then on the fact that Scalise was holding that event in the first place.
Well, the party in the majority is able to hold hearings and meetings, and I applaud Speaker McCarthy for holding a briefing for members to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Israel. America was, I think, the very first country to recognize Israel as a Jewish state. We've been such tight allies throughout their existence, and we've seen attacks and growing anti-Semitism even here in Congress, and we've been very vocal speaking out against any anti-Semitism. But I think it's important that we continue to celebrate and share with all of our members why it's so important that we have this special bond with Israel. The Speaker just came back from actually addressing the Knesset a few days ago, which is very historic. I think Newt Gingrich was the last speaker to address the Knesset. He and Prime Minister Netanyahu both spoke, and we've had a very special relationship. It's been very strongly bipartisan. Obviously you've got some elements of the Democrat Party who have become vocal against Israel. But again, we're going to stand up against any kind of anti-Semitism or any kind of attacks against Israel, and I applaud the speaker for having a briefing that all members are able to come to. Thank you all. See you on the floor.